I didn't use DotNetNuke, I used localhost SFL software. And you have to do that in two places. Save this. All right, now in Visual Studio, I can just open that solution. All right, now what I opened by that link. Now there's two files out here. There's a VS 2008 file, and there's a VS 2005 file. So you can use either version of Visual Studio. But in order for the thing to be usable by 2005, it has to be in 2005 format. So when I open the 2008, all right, it's a little, the project file is the same between the two. The solution files have to be a little different. So I just opened the 2008 solution file, and what it's noticed is that, oh, you've got to, this was built in an older version of Visual Studio. So these are things you have to think about as a developer. If you want people to be able to use 2005 to work on your module, you have to go through this version. So I'm just going to convert the module. I don't need a backup. Thank you very much. And the conversion should happen pretty quickly. Okay. Now, what we get then is the actual module source code out here. I'm going to show the hidden files for both projects. And if I go into references, you'll see that the reference to DotNetNuke is broken. So I'm going to remove it, add that reference back. I can just browse, jump up 2 levels to the portal bin directory and reference .NetNuke.dll. All right, and then the second project is the data provider project, and I'm also going to show to the bottom. And look at the references, and in fact we'll find these are broken here. Remove .NetNuke, add it. This time it's up 5 levels. And I'll show you that directory structure in just a second. In fact, the suggestion module reference is okay. Usually it comes in broken. I don't know why. Sometimes it's broken and sometimes it will. I don't know. All right. So to get into design mode, okay, I'll show you the structure in more detail in a minute. Let me just get into design mode to start with. Okay. So I can just run this, right? No, actually you can't. So that's one of the first tricks that you have to deal with is you're not going to just run this project because it's a user control. It's a set of user controls. You can't run those, right? So what you have to do is you have to go to Tools, Attach to Process. All right, then you have to find the worker process, and this is Vista, so it's w3wp.exe, and click Attach. Now you may have to check those boxes underneath that were show all processes and that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do then is go to the suggestion module, show the source code, go to the event handler or page load, set a breakpoint right here. So when that module displays on the page, it should break right here. Okay. Let's go back to the site and refresh the page, and we didn't hit the breakpoint.
Debugging web compete.
Okay, I did that on purpose. All right, so what we have to do, we have to enable debugging, right? That was one of the things on the slide. All right, so let me go out, because you're going to run across this the first time you try to do it, and that's the point of it, where it was demonstrating what happened.
Sorry.
Go to my, all right.
Second truth.
All right, don't answer the next one.
Yes, sir.
Fair warning. All right, so web config, I'll go ahead and edit that, and literally, have to set, oh, all right. Did I go to the right place? I did, all right. I thought I unzipped this. Normally it's off, all right, so anyway, there's actually 2 things I have to do to get this thing to run. So one is that the debug true is already true. I'm really confused about that because I unzipped that file again and it should be false. Anyway, so normally debug equals false. So when you deploy your site, obviously you want to make this false so that you can't debug it. But in order to work on it in debug mode, you have to set that flag to true so that you can get in there and debug. All right. So the other thing that you have to do is, anybody have an idea why it won't break right now? All right, there are why.
Didn't compile it with debug?
Well, actually, that's true. That, we're running a release version of the module, but we're also running what comes out of that package, that source package, was built against DNN version 4, so that it would install and run on a V4 system. So you actually have to rebuild the project in debug mode in order for it to properly work. So I'm going to go out to the solution and just say rebuild solution. Now,
Oh, you move those to DLLs.
yeah, they're supposed to be there. So can't move it to.
Oh, it's locked because it's open.
Well, yeah, but the problem is that it's probably a reference. Rebuild independently. Rebuild just that one. Yeah, so for whatever reason, it's not able to replace the file. Normally it just works. Of course, it's a demo in front of an audience, so it isn't going to want to work properly.
Maybe we put that in.
But it shouldn't. It shouldn't. I mean, IIS should just let me have it, because it's not actually running that DLL that's in the bin folder. It makes a copy of it. You know, ASP.NET kind of handles that for you. So you can replace that file at runtime without any problem. I'm not sure why it's not going to just reopen the portal. And probably should try to replace the file before I reopen the portal. Well, when in doubt, IS reset and have to run it as administrator. Well, it's actually not so bad because you get a view of some of the things you face as a developer of a module. Unfortunately, it's
What was that command? IIS reset?
IIS reset.
You can
just do it.
Does that work on 6 also? Every time you
What you have these things there. Okay, finally restarted. Okay, so let me see if I can do it now. Okay, so now.
I think you copied those DLLs into the bin folder, but it looks like it's looking for them in the object ODG folder of the bin.
Well,
You can debug subdirectory.
normally that's just, it fixes itself when you rebuild. So that, now the reference was actually broken. It should have been before, I'm not sure why it wasn't. But, there we go. That thing about the object folder, it's sort of a phantom error, and it just goes away when you rebuild. It just goes away when you rebuild. So now I've got a breakpoint. And in fact, I was still in run mode, but when I restarted IIS, it released it. And that was what the flash on the screen was. So now I have to go back to tools, attach the process. I just typed, oh, yeah, all right. Since I restarted, it's not running. So I have to bring the portal up. And we wait. It has to spin up on my machine now. Unfortunately, I want to be showing you source code, not debugging why the doggone thing won't rebuild. But so goes module development. You know, so, I mean, this is the life we live as a developer, right?
Just bring the pizza in here.
Running it. Are you volunteering to go fetch it?